Hey, there's your truck.
Oh, it is. Not really.
So guys, I have the gentleman sitting next to me who's actually buying that 2005 Chevy Silverado extended cab in black that I told you guys is going to be the first truck in the segment on my channel on pre-owned vehicles. And he just watched the video.
So why do you think so many people are giving me so much crap about buying that truck?
Well, honestly, I think the reason why is you have a lot of people who may have purchased a truck 10 years ago or 15 years ago, or maybe even just stumbled across a really, really good deal on a truck through perhaps a friend, or maybe even a dealership that purchase off of auctions or purchase wholesale from dealerships that don't keep the vehicle. And they got a good deal, or they got their truck for around $10,000 or less. Or perhaps they got a truck that needed a lot of work, but it just hasn't had problems. I think what most people don't understand is that if you bought a truck 10 years ago for $10,000, that truck today is probably still worth $10,000 to $15,000. Truck values haven't dropped that much, and in many cases, finding a pre-owned vehicle in good condition is really become difficult, as we found. We scoured the entire country looking for trucks. And even when we found some for good deals, you would go and look at the truck and they would have a significant amount of body rust. I'm not talking about surface frame rust, I'm talking about body rust. I mean, where the actual body, the door panels, the fenders, they were already rusting through. There was a lot of Bondo on the vehicle, or you could tell that it had been involved in some type of an accident. This truck that we're looking at now, we really scoured it. The only rust we could really find on it was a little surface rust and nothing else. So that's really why this truck was a great value.
Yeah, we really looked around. I mean, we looked so much that the good deals we saw that were around 8,000, 7,000 were either not clean titles or just very shady people.
Yeah, very high miles too.
Oh, very high miles.
Yeah, we came across a truck. It was actually a 2002 F-150. And it was a crew cab Lariat FX4, it's a four-wheel drive truck, and it had 56,000 miles on it. And when you looked at that truck from the outside, you'd say, man, this truck is easily worth the, what, 7,500, 8,000 bucks that he was trying to sell it for. But then when you got in that truck, it looked and smelled like a truck that had 250,000 miles on it.
Easily.
Yes.
Easily.
So it made you wonder, was that the factory odometer? Did somebody replace the gauge cluster in that truck? I mean, where exactly did those miles come from? And when you looked at the Carfax and the vehicle VIN history report on it, there was no clear-cut explanation to the miles, because at that point you were exempt from having to report odometer miles. So you actually saw on the Carfax report where it was exempt from reporting miles, and there was really no way of tracking down if those were true miles on that vehicle. Plus, if you have a vehicle that old with that many miles, you're going to sell it pretty quickly because it's just considered kind of one of those rare finds. The body, the condition of the truck did not match the miles on the truck, and that was one of those things that really made us step back. There were a lot of reasons why we looked at vehicles and we didn't opt for them. We actually found several F-150s and Chevy trucks and Rams, but then when you'd look at the truck, you'd find that there was some issue with it, that it had been involved in some type of an accident at some point, or that it just wasn't in an acceptable condition, and you'd be getting into a vehicle that had a lot of issues. Now, the specific truck that I showed you, the 2005 Silverado, he already purchased it. He paid cash for this truck. And one of the reasons why he chose to purchase it from AutoNation was after watching the video that I had made a few weeks ago where I talked about the larger dealerships, the more reputable dealerships being the dealerships you really want to look at. Basically, they took that truck, they sent it to their recon department, and they wanted to see what it was going to cost them to put the truck in an acceptable condition to sell on their lot. Because as you saw it in that last video, it was not in a condition that they were willing to sell. They were actually considering sending that truck off to auction, simply because they have to send it through this department, see how many things they need to repair on the truck, see what state it's in, and determine if it's feasible from a return on investment perspective to put money into that truck and still try to sell it. So in our case, that truck required, what, almost $3,600 in repairs. So they listed the truck for $10,500, and that was the asking price on the truck. This was before it even hit their recon department. Then when we went to go look at that truck and he decided he wanted to pull the trigger on it and pay for it, they said, well, hold on. Let us send it through a recon department, find out if we can actually sell it. And I know that's kind of a weird thing to say, but they don't want to sell a vehicle unless they feel it's going to be in a condition worth selling, and it can pass inspection, and it's not going to be a hazard to the buyer. So it spent about a week in the recon department. They contacted him back and said it's $7,500 worth of repairs. $7,500 worth of repairs to get the truck in what they would consider to be a like-new body status, where they would repaint the panels, fix any areas where there were any issues. If you saw the video, there was a dent on the driver's side panels. They would undercoat the truck. They would repair anything that was wrong with it, and then it would go on their lot as a pre-owned vehicle. Well, we were kind of adamant about getting this truck because it was the perfect truck for the segment. We really didn't want to pay $18,000 for this truck. When he looked at what needed to be done versus the likes he had, he basically said, you know what can we take off of this recon list that's not 100% needed so we can go ahead and make this deal done? They had told him, well, let's just do the things that need to be done. And that equated to about $3,600 in repairs. A lot of stuff. Things that you would never expect a dealership to do if they're going to be working on a truck that's going to be pre-owned. Most places would have just slapped this thing on the lot, detailed it, and sold it, and had the customer deal with the problems. We drove it. The truck drove great. The truck sounded great. Everything worked. It seemed like everything was fine. The only issue we saw was on the dash. The little indicator to show what gear you're in was blacked out. It wasn't working. And we've researched, and that was a pretty easy fix. But when this thing hit their recon department, they found $3,600 worth of things that needed to be addressed in this vehicle. And the interesting thing about this is they didn't charge him anything extra for it. So the $10,500, the asking price that he paid for that truck, because if you know, AutoNation doesn't negotiate on pre-owned vehicles anymore. They have this one price guarantee, which means the price you see is the price you pay. He bought the truck for $10,500, and they're including $3,600 in repairs on the truck. They have an entire spreadsheet, which I'll include on this video, so you can see some of the things that they were going to do at absolutely no charge. And then they found a few others. They basically said, well, let's go ahead and do this and that. And a lot of times you might think it's because, well, maybe it's the video segment that they're doing it for. No, the people at the dealership had no idea that we were going to do this video segment. When he went up with the cash to pay for the vehicle, and he paid for it, and they checked all these items off, I met him at that dealership, and I actually said, this is what we want to do. So the only thing on top of what they're doing for $3,600, and this is just full disclosure, is they're probably going to detail the truck. That's probably the big thing they're going to do. They're going to do a big cleaning of the truck to make sure it looks good on video, which they would normally do, but I have a feeling they might go a little above and beyond in that perspective. But they took a truck that is easily worth $10,500 sticker price, and they're putting $3,600 into it to replace parts and components. He's not going to get the truck for another week because of all the work they're going to do to it, just to make sure the truck is in an acceptable condition to sell. And that is the exact reason why I say deal with your more reputable dealerships that will not put a vehicle on their lot unless they feel it's in great shape. So guys, I just wanted to share that story with you. You happy with your new purchase?
Very happy, very happy.
And I mean, he would have taken the truck in the condition it was in.
Oh yeah.
So to get the truck with this much work being done to it is pretty amazing. Anyways, guys, we're going to follow this journey. We're going to follow along, show you what the truck looks like, show you what they're doing to it, and show you what the outcome is. So if you haven't had a chance, now's a great time. Subscribe to my channel, give me a big thumbs up, and I will talk to you guys again soon.